How's it going, folks? Salty here. Thanks for watching my channel. You can always view my live stream at twitch.tv/SaltyRocks. Going to be doing a few Dark Souls 2 playthroughs. Just finished the tutorial and entered the main hub of Dark Souls 2. It's a place called Majula. Throughout this particular video, we'll be picking up a few items, and then we will make the journey through the forest of fallen giants. We'll encounter a couple bosses. The first boss we'll encounter is the Pursuer, and then we will take out the last giant. Up ahead we'll be approaching a bonfire. The bonfire of Majula is pretty much the most used bonfire in the game. And to our right is the Emerald Herald. She's one of the primary NPCs throughout the game. You utilize the Herald to level up your character and to upgrade your Estus flasks. As you can see here, that's the blacksmith. There are a couple blacksmiths in the game. You can use them to upgrade your weapons. Actually, I believe there are 3 blacksmiths total. We're approaching a well. You can see there's a rock just sitting there. I knocked it into the well. And on this corpse, you get your first Estus flask shard. Estus flask shards are used to upgrade your Estus flask. If you're unfamiliar with what an Estus flask is, you can think of it as a health potion. There are actually a couple covenants here in Majula that you can join. We passed by the Way of the Blue earlier. This one right here is called the Company of Heroes. It's kind of like a hardcore covenant. When you join it, you'll be unable to summon others to help you throughout your game, as long as you're in the covenant. And that includes NPCs. Likewise, you yourself will be unable to be summoned. This NPC right here is a cat. Other than a couple items that you'll need or may find useful from the cat, its primary function is to view your ranks with other covenants. You can also use the cat to leave the covenant.
Bearer of the curse for misery, you will never meet the king with a soul so frail and pallid. Seek those whose names are unutterable. The 4 endowed with immense souls. Their souls will serve as beacon. Once you have found them, return here to me, so that hope will not fade away. Is that a shard? Here, to see light, however faint it might be.
So I kind of sped through the dialogue of the Emerald Herald, but you can see I handed over my Estus Flask shard to strengthen my Estus Flask. When I had the menu up, you could see that on the top it said level up and then upgrade Estus Flask. What I'm doing here is I'm consuming souls. The larger the soul, the more souls you acquire. This right here, Seed of a Tree of Giants, that's a pretty nifty item to have. When you're creating your character, you have the option of selecting gifts. The reason why I selected that item is because if I get invaded, the enemies, or the enemy NPCs, will also be hostile towards the invading player. Otherwise, if you don't have that seed, they'll be able to waltz right past those enemies and use those NPC enemies to their advantage. Now that we've entered the Forest of Fallen Giants, we'll encounter a few enemies along the way. One thing you're going to notice is that I don't have a shield. Now, I will preface, there is no one particular way of fighting enemies in this game. The choice is yours. It's pretty open as far as playstyles go. So all I can tell you is play the way you feel most comfortable. And the one thing you don't want to do is rush in as if this were a normal slash. Utilize rolls, shields, blocks, parries as much as possible, or whatever you need to do to get an advantage on the enemy you're fighting. Now, as you traverse this ladder, just one thing you need to keep in mind is that there are 3 enemies here that will rush you. So as you can see, the first thing I did was make space. You also have an archer up top trying to pelt you with arrows. Just utilize your rolls, keep distance, and be aware of your surroundings. I can't tell you how many times I've rolled right back down that hole and died. Also, once you've climbed this ladder, as you turn the corner, there are a couple enemies as well. One of them, I believe, is barehanded, so it's pretty easy to dispatch. The other one has an axe. There's a lot of openings, so take advantage of that. Climbing up here will allow you to take out that archer. That guy sitting down is a Knight of Hide. I was contemplating whether or not I want to attack him. I personally felt I wasn't ready. So I'm just going to ignore him and enter the fog gate. Fog gates are, or in Dark Souls 2 they call them mist, but fog gates pretty much symbolize a turning point in the game. Now keep in mind, if you rush and attack these two right here first, without taking out the ambush that I took out first, there's a chance that he'll rush in here, and instead of fighting 2 mobs, you'll find yourself fighting 3. Through these double doors, we'll find the Cardinal Tower bonfire. But before we light that bonfire, we're gonna take a slight detour and pick up a couple items. One of the more notable items is a white soapstone, or I believe it's called a tiny white soapstone. We'll talk about those a little later on. They're multiplayer items. There's a white soapstone and a tiny or small white soapstone. Now, before we rush on in, we're actually going to pause real quick and let the giant boulder roll by. Up ahead to the left, we'll run into another NPC. His name is Kale, a cartographer. He also grants you access to the mansion that's located in Majula. So what you want to do is talk to him and exhaust his dialogue.
Oh, my name.
I usually go through, receive the key, and then I'll exhaust his dialogue
When I first came into this facility,
until he says that he'll meet me back in Majula.
How embarrassing. But I do know one thing for certain. I came to the Drang Lake. Have you seen Majula? Inside the mansion, I believe. Now I'm trapped. Yes. Wait, then what? Were you looking wonderful? Shame on you. Here, take. What a incredible. Oh, I wouldn't. I can't. Something. I'll be back, perhaps.
You'll notice there's a ladder to the right. In fact, I'm facing it right now. I'll be climbing that ladder here shortly. It's an optional area where you can face off with the pursuer. If you kill the pursuer now, you won't have to fight him later. You notice that there's an enemy throwing firebombs at me. I'm actually going to take advantage of those firebombs. I'm trying to get him to throw a firebomb on those barrels that are filled with gunpowder. After I dispatch the guy with a shield and a spear. The reason why I want him to blow this area up is, there you go, it creates a shortcut to the Cardinal Tower bonfire. With that, I'm going to rest up, hopefully find a couple summons here, and then take on the pursuer. In my opinion, he's a little more difficult to take on now, mainly because, well, it's early, so you don't have many levels on you, or upgrades. So that's the reason I'm calling on a couple summons to help me out. If you fight him later, personally I think he's easier, because you can take advantage of your environment. If you have an NPC or, another player keeping his attention, you can use the ballistas to take him out. Now this guy that I summoned, he's just standing there. He looks kind of AFK. So I'm going to use this item to send him back so I can summon another person who's not AFK. Alright, with the path clear, we're going to climb up the ladder here and face off with the Pursuer. Now, he doesn't have a cinematic cutscene entrance like he would if you were to face him off later on. That's fine. I just want to get him done and over with. The thing about the Pursuer, he's pretty nimble for an enemy his size. Rightfully so, he's actually floating. I don't know if you can see it clearly, but he is floating. And he wields a... He's holding an ultra greatsword with one hand. And he's also using a great shield. There is a move that you'll see him do later on that you want to avoid. His sword turns blue. He'll try to impale you, and then he'll cause damage over time as he holds you into there. There you go, right there. His sword turned blue, and he tried to stab me in the face. When you first face off against this guy, especially when you face off against him alone, it can be kind of frustrating at first because he's pretty aggressive, and he has wide attacks, and he hits hard. But if you face him off calmly and you actually analyze his movements, he's actually got quite a few openings that you can take advantage of. Now, you won't be able to take chunks out of his health, but you can whittle his health down just by being patient and attacking him during those openings. Once you finally take him down, you'll get a couple items from him. The first item you'll get is the soul of the pursuer, which is a boss soul. You can use boss souls to craft weapons, or you can consume them and gain many souls. The next item that you get is the Ring of Blades. It ups your attack, your melee attack.
Hello there. Traveling all alone and... Well, I hope you have a... Oh, Hog. My name... I journey hither. Be careful. Oh, yes. There's treasure. I saw this. I was with the rather I still have... I'll leave this one.
The NPC I just talked to, his name is Pate. If you exhaust his dialogue and go through the ordeal that he is asking you to go through, you'll be able to summon him later on during the boss fight with the last giant. Over here, if you lure out the enemy, just like I did there, his buddies will shoot him with the ballistas. These are the ballistas I was talking about earlier in regards to the Pursuer boss fight. If you opted to fight him later on. Down this ladder, other than a few chests, this is one of the first instances you'll encounter a Pharaoh's Lock. You're gonna notice I whacked the chest first before opening it. There are enemies called mimics. They look just like chests. If you don't detect them and you try to open them, a lot of times they'll one-shot you. What I put into the wall is called a Pharaoh's Lockstone. The first Pharaoh's Lockstone you can get by spending 4,000 souls with, and I forgot the NPC's name. Anyway, she's the NPC that you meet when you first enter the Cardinal Tower bonfire. The ring I got earlier is called the Chloranthy ring. It ups your stamina regeneration. It's a good item to have. Later on, you'll have the ability to get the +1 version. We can't open this door yet, so what we're doing is we're whacking the door, trying to get the enemies on the other side to open it for us. Otherwise, you can come back here after facing off with the last giant and use the soldier's key. To the right of the base of these stairs is actually a hidden wall. I completely forgot to go after it. You can even see there was a message there notifying me that there was a hidden wall there. So when you're going through here, don't forget to use your action button and go for the hidden wall. Now that I'm back where I started with Pate, after talking to him, he will reward us with a white soapstone.
I see you managed. I hope that. Be careful. Oh. Just take this. It allows undead to call out for help to one. Good luck.
Just as he explained, it is a multiplayer item. It allows you to get yourself summoned into another person's game. To help them out, of course. Once you enter this area, you're going to notice there's an elevator to the right. Before you go there, open this door, as it only opens from the side. It allows you to create a shortcut to the Cardinal Tower bonfire. Before you press on that silver lever that's in the middle of the platform, if you have a summon with you, like I do, make sure they're on the platform. That way you don't end up killing off your own summon. Just to the right is a summon sign for mild-mannered Pate. You can use him during the boss fight with the last giant. He's actually pretty good to have. I mean, he doesn't hit hard, but he is capable of soaking up quite a bit of damage. You can use him to distract the last giant. The last giant boss fight is pretty straightforward. All you have to do is take advantage of his wide arcing swings and stay close to his feet. In fact, all I'm doing here is attacking his feet. Now, it's cool to just hug his feet and continue to whack at him. Just be aware that he will raise his foot up and try and step on you. So look out for the telltale sign of the foot stomp and you'll be just fine. Or you can get whacked like I did, trying to get back around him. And that's what happens when you get stepped on. I barely made it out of there. And with that, folks, that was the end of the last giant. The funny thing, though, is you actually run into a couple other giants throughout the game. So I don't know why he's called the last giant, but apparently he's the last giant in this forest. Well, with the last giant out of the way, we've now taken out 2 bosses so far, the Pursuer and the last giant, which means we've acquired 2 boss souls. All we're going to do now is head back to the Cardinal Tower bonfire, rest up, and head on out to the next area. Thanks for watching my channel, and thanks for watching my video. If you like what you saw, please hit the subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube, or the follow button if you are watching this on Twitch. And before you go, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button.